Hello, folks. Welcome back to Chris Wyatt Reports. This is Chris live in central Pennsylvania with an update on a situation in South Africa regarding the African National Congress's so-called cadre deployment records. These are, of course, the patronage process the ruling African National Congress has put in place to ensure that it has loyalists who work in the government bureaucracy around the country. It's called cadre deployment in the South African vernacular. In the rest of the world, we'd say cadres. But cadre deployment. Now, the Constitutional Court of South Africa ruled that the African National Congress must hand over the records dating back to when President Cyril Ramaphosa became chairman of the so-called Deployment Committee in terms of the Promotion of Access to Information Act. So, as a matter of basically a FOIA request, which we have here in America, Freedom of Information Act, you have to release this information. So they're going to release this to today. It's supposed to be done by close of business, and we've rapidly approached that now in South Africa. So what's at issue here? Well, the ANC Deployment Committee's minutes from 2018 to 2021 revealed how the party ran a parallel process to fill certain positions at several government departments, agencies, and boards of state-owned enterprises. In other words, a patronage network, stuffing the network with its clowns and its hires. Now, they claim that these were competent people to fill these positions, but in reality, one can see the impact of the incompetence that has taken place by deploying your loyalists who are loyal to Latuli House, the headquarters of the African National Congress, and not to the people of South Africa. Now, the ANC claims that it committed to hand over these documents or records to its National Deployment Committee, of its National Deployment Committee, by the end of business today, February 19th, 2024. Now, this is after years of stonewalling. They went to every court possible to prevent these records from being disclosed, claiming that they're important information necessary for the transformation of the country. But now they claim that they're happily turning them over today. Strange little thing happened, though. So the ANC has nothing to hide, says their national spokesman, Mahalegi Bengu Motsiri. The ANC has nothing to hide. Really, if the ANC has nothing to hide, then why weren't they forthcoming with these records for the past several years when opposition parties and private civic organizations have requested access to these records to find out what's been going on? If the ANC has nothing to hide, then why have they been hiding it? Not only that, but now they can't find the records. In his testimony to the Zondo Commission, President Cyril Ramaphosa committed that the ANC would do everything in its power to find the records. The ANC has done so and will hand over all records that have been found and give an explanation regarding those records which either do not exist or have not been able to be found. So, does this come as a surprise to anybody in South Africa that the African National Congress can't find the records of its cadre deployment? Of course it's not a surprise. Yeah. So have they done everything possible? Well, if true, why did the Constitutional Court find it necessary to order the ANC to comply with its ruling to disclose these records in the first place? If the ANC had done everything it can to find these records and share them, why did it take a Constitutional Court order to make them do it? They're just lying. This is yet more evidence of a rogue entity, not a legitimate political party. The ANC has long held that it is essential to keep these cadre deployment records private. Yet when ordered to disclose them, they can't find the documents. Isn't that amazing? So for years, well, it's so important we keep these private to protect people's personal information. And, you know, it really has had a big impact in transforming the country. They're so important we have to keep them private. But when ordered to turn them over, now they can't find the documents. Yeah. Now, given the party is run like an out-of-control frat party of senior members intoxicated with blue light escorts, opulent lifestyles, and a rapacious appetite for stealing from poor black South Africans, it comes as little surprise the ANC cannot be bothered to maintain what it itself called were essential records of a vital and necessary transformation process. Now, the ANC has said that it's going to comply with this order by handing records over by the end of the day. However, again, they say that the files may be a bit light as many of the records could not be found. Are you surprised? I'm not. I don't think anybody's surprised. Now, the ANC stated that they had searched for the minutes of the committee from December 2012 to December 2017, but no records could be found. The most consequential period in the destruction of the bureaucracy of South Africa, 2012 to 2017, during Jacob Zuma's tenure. And they can't find any of the records of the meetings. Wow. Now, the ANC released a statement today saying that it's done everything in its power to find the missing records, and it's going to hand over all records they have found and give an explanation. Well, I'm not buying it. Now, additionally, the ruling party said that it would be protecting the personal information of those who have not given consent for the release of the records in accordance with the Protection of Personal Information Act, POPIA, which guarantees the protection of personal information of individuals. Very similar to what we have here in the United States, protecting privately identifiable information, PII. That's what they're trying to do. They're calling on, now this is the cheek of all this. The ANC is calling on the Democratic Alliance to handle the information with care, taking into account the provision of PAPIA to protect people's personal information. Yet they just said they're not going to hand over personal information. So what is it the DA is responsible for protecting if they're going to hide the personal information? The ANC calls upon Dr. Leon Schreiber, to respect the rights of these individuals and to use the records handed to him for the purpose outlined in his PAPIA application. So they're admonishing Leon Schreiber, a member of parliament for the opposition Democratic Alliance, to handle the records with care. Really? Handle the records with care? You can't even find records. Who's not handling records with care here? It's the ANC that's not handling records with care. They go on to say, it would be regrettable if Dr. Schreiber misuses the noble provisions of our Constitution, which guarantees citizens the right of access to information for narrow party political advantage. These freaking communists have the cheek of all. Can you imagine this? They're accusing the Democratic Alliance of trying to seek records that they must release under public law for political purposes. They've hidden them for political purposes for years, to hide the fact that they don't hire competent people. They hire loyalists to destroy South Africa from within. ANC national spokesperson, once again, Malengi Bengu Motsiri, rejected what she called fevered speculation driven by DA regarding the governing party's cadre development policy and deployment strategy. Fevered speculation. Well, what else do we have there, ma'am? Since you've hidden the records for years and you can't find the records, what are people supposed to do other than speculate? You have gone outside the official government legal hiring process to put your loyalists in place in key positions of state-owned enterprises, all of which are failing, in government ministries, all of which are failing, and at provincial and local governance, all of which is failing across the country with only a handful of municipalities, and those are controlled by opposition, IFP or DA for the most part. Only one ANC municipality in the entire country is not failing, and that's, ironically, in the Eastern Cape. Wow. Now, the thing about her making this claim, let me read this again, what she says, and I'm not going to call her spokesperson because she's a spokesman, but ANC national spokesman Malengi Bengu Motsiri rejected what she called fevered speculation driven by the Democratic Alliance regarding the governing party's cadre development, deployment, policy, and strategy. Only one need not speculate. We need only look at the ineptitude and the tragic consequences of ANC cadre deployment, which has destroyed the bureaucracy, crippled service delivery, and entrenched incompetence at every level of governance across South Africa. While this is further from the ANC, while it acknowledges that some past deployments have been problematic, the ANC affirms that over the years it has deployed individuals with impressive qualifications and credentials and is proud of its cadres who have achieved great outcomes for South Africa and those who are shoulder to the wheel driving transformation and societal renewal in challenging socioeconomic circumstances, said Bengu Motsiri. Impressive credentials and qualifications. Then why does South Africa have junk bond status? Why did 63 children in Port Elizabeth starve to death under the ANC? Because the incompetent local government turned back 63 million rand to the national government because they couldn't spend it. Why are there 84 murders per day in South Africa? Why are farm murders never resolved? Why is corruption so pervasive in South Africa if the ANC has people with impressive credentials? Why did there exist only one machine to produce driver's license for a country of 63 million people? But the ANC is impressive, the impressive credentials. Yeah, I think not. And here's the real story. This is what it's all about, ladies and gentlemen. Cadre deployment was about enriching people based on skin pigmentation, who are your friends and allies. It wasn't about enriching loyalists who were white or Jewish or colored or Indian. It was about enriching patrons who were black. And that's the bottom line here. It's a racist policy. It's an ANC entrenching policy, and it's been disastrous for all South Africans, regardless of skin color, ethnic origin, or language. So, impressive credentials. Shoulder to the wheel driving transformation. What that means, yeah. The ANC itself has told us just days ago that cadre deployment was necessary. Not for competence, that's not what she's saying, competence. It wasn't for competence, but it was necessary for transformation. The racial elimination of minorities from leadership and governance. Now, that's not their words, the racial elimination of minorities from leadership and governance. Those are my words, but that's my analysis, because that's what transformation means. Transformation means the same thing you see here in America, where Black Americans make up 12% of the population, but they make up 65% of the NFL, 78% of the NBA, and we're told that the country is racist because people don't get opportunities. And they make up every single television commercial in this country. What this does is divide a wedge between people, black and white, and it's unnecessary. What it does in South Africa's case is particularly insidious because it drives incompetence, failure, and destruction. If the ANC's cadre deployment policy, which is illegal, had not existed, and people applied through governance the correct way to apply for a job without racial lenses put on, how much better could South Africa be today? Even with the ANC stealing trillions of rands in their pockets through Travelgate and Oilgate and the arms scandal and PPE scandals and the Vreda dairy farm and the asbestos deal and Zandile Gumeda accusations in eThekwini and all the other corruption that the ANC is accused of, even with all that, South Africans would arguably be far better off today were it not for ANC's cadre deployment, a corrupt system of patronage entrenched by a corrupt ruling party that has destroyed South Africa in less than 3 decades. They destroyed South Africa even faster than Mugabe destroyed Zimbabwe. That's impressive. That's impressive. And they've done it on a far greater scale. The ANC inherited everything. A functioning educational system that, while it did not meet the needs of many South Africans, was functional. And if it had been invested in properly, you'd have cohorts of young kids today who were functionally literate and capable of critical thinking who would contribute immensely to South Africa's economy. Had you not had this corrupt system of handing out shares of equity to corrupt ANC friends and partners, you would have had people actually investing in the economy for the benefit of all South Africans. But instead, you have a sick system that's twisted, and this is just another example of tragic African failure. We look no further afield than just look up in the Sahel, where Niger has today defaulted on more money than it owes. It will never pay back this debt, and it gets a free ride because it's a partner in the war on terrorism, even though it kicked France out. Yeah, South Africa. What a sad, sad, tragic story, ladies and gentlemen. A tragic story of epic proportions here. The ANC finally turning over its cadre deployment records, only we can't find them. There are no records from 2012 to 2017, so we're just going to have to, ask for forgiveness for that one because we just couldn't find them. Really. Is anyone surprised by the malfeasance of the African National Congress? I know I'm not. What about you? What about you folks? Wow. It's election year. Now watch, these records will magically turn up after the ANC loses the election. Somebody will betray the party for being annoyed at them losing control of the country and the gravy train that they've been suckling off of for 30 years now. It's sad. Anyway, folks, that's it for this brief live stream from my mobile. I wish you all well. Be sure to stay tuned. You'll be automatically redirected to the news broadcast at the top of the hour, just moments away. Give me a moment. We'll get set up for the news broadcast, and we'll catch you there. Wow. Wasn't me. Can't find the records. Take care, folks. God bless and have a good day.